Cassette tapes are back. Lately, I've noticed new music has been released on cassette in addition to CD and vinyl. But why now? Why regress to analog? And of all people, did anyone want the cassette tape to come back? After 6 months worth of expensive shopping, thrifting, and just poking around online, I figured it all out. Here's what you need to know. So this actually started all the way back in 2014 when Disney released the first Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix on cassette. It was in line with the film and Star-Lord's Walkman, and he had the mixtape in the first two. They ended up selling over 2 million copies. They'd almost accidentally proved that there was a market for this, so thank you, James Gunn. But even outside the Guardians, wouldn't streaming have kept cassettes dead? Ever since I started making shorts on this channel, I've had people ask me, who in the f still buys physical media? And in the last several years, most people I knew always got their music from streaming platforms. Mobile-friendly, all-digital, Apple Music, iTunes, Pandora. So that means physical's good as gone, right? Completely obsolete?
You're dead wrong, man.
It might shock you to hear physical media and more specifically music, is still widely popular. More recently, vinyl outsold CDs for the first time since the late 80s, and then the year after that, cassette sales blew up. And that's good to know because vintage music formats have a wide appeal. But to whom? I was actually going to talk about something completely different, but right before recording I came across an article that found the older end of Generation Z, the 18 to 24 age range, are listening to music on physical formats like cassettes and vinyl more than older age groups. In a lot of these comments, people are surprised the younger folks like music. Many of us collect CDs, records, and physical media. In fact, I'd say most people I know do, at least a few. See, most people here say their top reason is music ownership, and not just from taking on their parents' earlier collections, but with how much we stream today, that doesn't equal ownership, so they see it as a more direct way to support the artist. And with all that said, cassettes have appealed to no shortage of newcomers. But that's not to say long-time casual and die-hard collectors haven't gotten back into it, or at least tried to pick it back up. Plus, if anything, this is actually a video cassette, but these things are dirt cheap and stupid simple to make. And not just for the manufacturers, but also for the artist and their record label. In fact, it was actually one of the last cassette manufacturers in the US who produced the first Guardians of the Galaxy tape. Click like to thank the Guardians for saving the cassette tape industry. But now that they're making cassettes again, they need music to sell, so who's putting music on cassettes today? Sometimes it is more of a specialty thing. If a movie or TV series plays into the nostalgia factor, Stranger Things, Kate Bush. Other times it depends on the artist, or it's just because. Cassettes are back, why not sell them? Make extra money. For the big name studios, Warner Brothers did Barbie, of course, and then most notably Disney did a handful of mixtapes for the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series and the first two movies, but when it came to Volume 3, they didn't just do one, they did a full set of 9 collectible variants, each with a different colored tape. They formed the poster pretty well. The only one I'm missing is the red Kraglin one. His was exclusive to Urban Outfitters. If you know, you know. Some collector and novelty labels like Enjoy the Ride, they did a bunch of Nicktoons records in the last several years. They put their Doug album, Doug and the Beats, on cassette, 2 versions. And similar to these, I Am 8-Bit also put the Super Mario Bros. Movie soundtrack on cassette. For the big name pop artist, Taylor Swift got into it early. Her first was Reputation, and then most of her versions and all of her latest stuff. And aside from what I have here, it's not exclusive to genre. I found a bunch of tapes by Blink-182, De La Soul, Paramore, the Wu-Tang Clan, Frank Ocean, Ed Sheeran, Fall Out Boy, Lana Del Rey, even Olivia Rodrigo, which I didn't find any of hers until well after recording this video. I can keep naming all these people, but what's a cassette if you can't even play it? You've probably seen posts and maybe memes about technology and appliances from the 50s and 60s still working today. When it comes to older technology, that stuff was built to last. Same thing goes for cassettes. These are the players I used for the opening shot. Nothing about the hardware has changed in the decades since their first release. If your old players, like mine here, still work, by all means, feel free to use them. Awesome! Copyrighted music! For something like this that has a decent build quality, it'll get the job done. Smaller business music stores I've bought from Tapehead City before. They tend to carry better players, especially if they sell both cassettes and vinyl. Any kind of pro music or any kind of music store in general, they're gonna carry some of the best stuff for you. Bottom line, as long as it plays and it works well, that's really all you need. With a set of good headphones or maybe even external speakers, you can make analog audio sound awesome. Alright, nobody touch that, it's worth 300 bucks. But before you buy anything I mentioned here, you have to ask yourself, should you get into cassettes? When you compare it to a larger investment like vinyl, for instance, cassettes are much cheaper. New tapes will run you about 12 at the lowest to 30 at the most, and a decent middle-of-the-road player is going to be about 40. I'm actually still on the hunt for the Nickelodeon Walkman. Both of those are only going up in price. And plus, they all have aux cords, so you can use your favorite wired headphones, or if you're like me, plug it into your car and listen while you drive. My car doesn't have a cassette deck, it's too new. Ultimately, it depends on you. Your music taste, your favorite artists, or maybe you want to relive a tape you enjoyed as a kid. It all comes down to that because at the end of the day, you're in control of your own collection, and if you don't enjoy that, there's no point. You shouldn't feel pressured in any way to buy every single tape you see just to call yourself a collector. But if you are a collector, like me, I think you'll love the stuff I have right here.